How's it going, boys? Johnny Superb Man here, and today I want to show you a special video showcasing just how irrelevant Hockey Ultimate Team player ratings are. With the jump to the next gen, the NHL franchise not only left behind popular game modes, but also left behind many gameplay tweaks and animations that made previous titles feel more like a hockey simulator. Now we have all the players on the ice responding and performing very similarly, and I'm here to prove it to you guys. In the red corner, we have the 96 overall center playmaker, Sidney Crosby. And in the blue corner, we have the 72 overall left wing enforcer, John Scott. Let's put these two up against each other in different scenarios, and I'll show you guys exactly what I mean. Our first test is going to cover stick handling. Now the beat that you hear in the background is at 90 beats per minute. Both players should be able to sync up their stick handling with this beat, and they can. It's not that fast, so no problem here. Let's move on. Now the beat is at 150 beats per minute, and you can see both players can keep up, but they look exactly the same. The hands from Sidney Crosby is not really separating him from John Scott at all. Now we're going to go up to 200 beats per minute, and again, the exact same thing. Can you tell a difference between both players here? They looked exactly the same to me, and we jack it up to 250 beats per minute. Once again, both players handle the puck the same way with the same speed. Crosby's reach while deking is the exact same as Scott's, indicating that he is moving at the same speed. I thought Crosby was supposed to have great hands. Now this footage is from old gen. Watch both players and be sure to watch the right stick indicator also. Crosby can keep up while Scott cannot. Scott's deking is all over the place. Crosby's is nice and fluent. This is a great example of player ratings actually affecting gameplay. If Scott wants to deke like Crosby, he simply has to slow down because of his hands. Then he can cover the same ice as Crosby. But Crosby can do that at a faster pace because of his great hands. NHL 15 on current gen, every player dekes the exact same way. And if you're sitting there saying that the hands category affects the loose puck dekes, I don't know, man. John Scott can pull off the exact same dekes as Sidney Crosby does. I will say this, though. Crosby may seem to cover a little bit more ground while pulling off the dekes, but it doesn't really seem that much of a difference between someone who has a 67 in the hands category and someone who's got a 95. Our next test is going to be a blue-to-blue that finishes on 4. Now this test should showcase explosiveness, acceleration, something EA heavily promoted in previous titles of NHL. But look at this is on current gen. Now know that there could be some human error in this testing. I did my best to stop at the blue line. But Crosby's really not pulling away from John Scott at all. On the 4th time down, look, he hits the blue line in full speed. He's only got a 12-foot gap on John Scott. Now if we go back to old gen and perform the exact same test, look, Crosby, after one up and down, really does start to pull away. It could be a little bit better, it's not perfect, but it certainly is much better than current gen. And this is another example of how player ratings on current gen, they really don't mean much. John Scott was barely beaten before, but on old gen, look at Crosby. On the 4th time down, he's got him beat by 40 feet. That is much different than the 12 feet that he beat him on current gen. Our next test showcases agility around the neutral dots. Now this one, I'll say, has plenty of room for human error, so I suggest you try it yourself, but I don't really feel that much of a difference using Crosby compared to using John Scott. Around the dots to the red line, Crosby only beats him by 4 feet. Now, if we perform this same test on old gen, even though it's not perfect, the explosiveness that went into the previous games really does shine through. Crosby beats him by 16 feet. Again, it's not perfect. He should smoke John Scott in this competition, but 16 feet is a lot better than 4 feet on current gen. Again, how the hell does the 6'8", 270-pound enforcer, who's 72 overall, keep up with the nimble 5'11", 200-pound, 96 overall Sidney Crosby? It just doesn't make sense. The next test that we have is a goal line to goal line while in possession of the puck. Now Crosby should absolutely wreck John Scott in this, gaining the puck in the neutral zone and moving up the ice with speed. But for some reason he barely pulls away, 11 feet. I mean, this race is the equivalent of Usain Bolt going up against Tyrion Lannister. But for some reason on current gen, John Scott can keep up with Sidney Crosby, end to end. And once again, old gen NHL had a much better version of this. Goal line to goal line, Crosby versus Scott. You can see when Crosby hits top end speed, he just pulls away from him. 20 feet. It could be much better, but it's certainly better than what we got this year. Moral of the story, boys, before you decide to spend 500,000 coins on the newest Team of the Week card, or before you give in and spend an arm and a leg on the rarest of the rare mega packs, remember this video and ask yourself, do I really want to spend money on a virtual hockey card? If the answer is yes, then I got great news for you. For a limited time only, available solely on the 2BC Productions website, the 115 overall Dion Fagoof PGA Edition card. With the power of Happy Gilmore, the accuracy of Shooter McGavin, and the same consistency as the St. Louis Blues, this card will satisfy all your Hockey Ultimate Team needs. So make sure to buy it right now. Of course, this card is just an image file and therefore completely useless. Its value will also drop tremendously by this time next week, but shit, if EA can do it and profit, then so can I.